Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at Shiba. And just before we do, we usually look at Bitcoin, kind of get an idea of what's going on just so I can get a quick perspective. So we'll take a look at that. And also, by the way, I hope you're having an amazing day. Thanks again for tuning in. All right, so taking a look here at Bitcoin, let's take a look at the 4-hour. Unfortunately, we are potentially losing this candlestick here at the 50-day simple moving average. So we might lose that potential support. We'll see obviously here soon, but we had a pretty strong sell-off in the recent hour that sent Bitcoin pretty much straight down about 500-600. So generally speaking, we're not in bad shape, of course, but I would say that Bitcoin is going to probably start trending closer to 63,000 than 65. But we are still technically making higher highs and higher lows in the 1-hour chart. So there's that, right? So all in all, not in bad shape for Bitcoin. Taking a look here at Shiba. Just before we do, I also like to mention this just based on the fact that we have a lot of new viewers. Thank you, first of all, again, for joining me here. If this is your first time, just know I'd like to educate my viewers on how to become better traders, right? So you're going to kind of hopefully learn a thing or two here today, of course. And in that sense, this is for educational purposes only, but I designed and created this channel for the specific purpose of helping people become better. So check out my trading channel that I have. I have basically a signal group where I send out signals for every trade that I take. You can kind of follow along if you'd like, but more importantly, you learn how to become a better, more self-sufficient trader. I'm excited for the bear market coming up too, because that is definitely a case in point where we can capitalize on that fear momentum. It sounds crazy right now, but I promise you it gets better. All right, so taking a look here at Shiba Inu. This here, we're on the 1-day chart. Quick perspective. Obviously, there's a pretty strong support channel right around about 5,000 is a close approximate. And so the price is just below 52.50 right now. So it's having trouble breaking back above that resistance channel. So I'm guessing that probably happened just because this candlestick recently opened and Bitcoin just sold off, but we'll take a look at the smaller time frames. Looking at the moving averages, the 50 is coming up here to potentially save the day, so that's great news. That'll kind of reaffirm the support at about 42.80. But bottom line here is that RSI at 50 is holding. As long as we can stay above 50 on the RSI, we're going to be in good shape to be able to see a continuation back to the upside. So pay attention to how that responds in the near future. But all in all, that's pretty good, right? We're not in dire straits by any means. The 1-day candlesticks are pretty standard right now. Looking at the 4-hour here, you can kind of see we are making kind of a bit of a wedge pattern here where the price is kind of working itself into a little channel, right? And oftentimes those do break to the upside. So we could see what happens here soon, but it's a little too early to tell, I would say, but it is working itself into a wedge. And a lot of times what'll happen is the price will come up, it'll kind of work its way down, then eventually break out to the upside. So I do think a break to the upside is more likely than the downside. And the bottom line is that I think Shiba Inu is still in pretty good shape. Okay. So don't read too much into that pattern there, but commonly it breaks to the upside, and I think we're looking good. We are working under the 50-day simple moving average, but above the 200. So these are two good things, of course. Good in the sense that the 200 is working as a support level, right? That's going to drive the price action up. So we shouldn't hypothetically see the price coming in lower than that. However, the 50 does kind of work as a resistance, so we could see, again, that little breakout eventually that could happen to the upside. So there's a chance of that as well. So we do have a bullish continuation pattern here forming. Looking at see here, quickly take a peek. Yeah, not much on the RSI. RSI is under 50, which isn't fantastic. But keep in mind, this line right here, right at about 52.60, is effectively working as that same resistance level as 50 is on the RSI. So there's that as well, which isn't neither good nor bad. It just kind of is what it is. We got to break above that to be able to maybe consider that to be a confirmation of a good entry point. I'm willing to guess that we are probably under the cloud right now. Yep. Because we're looking at the Ichimoku cloud on the 1-hour chart. The typical concept is to buy when the price is above and to sell when the price is below. Okay, so it's working as a resistance level. You can kind of see that once it broke into the resistance there, it's pretty much staying below. So ultimately, we need the price to kind of come above, close above, somewhere in this range here, above the cloud, to effectively be able to take entry confidently, right? Now, again, there's no guarantees you can take entry above the cloud and it just drops out, the bottom drops out sometimes, but it does help as kind of a confirmation that you're on the right side of the tracks, and it increases your odds, really. That's the bottom line. Taking a look here at TD Sequential, we're probably just going to see a few resets. Yep, nothing really to note there. We do want to maybe kind of understand here, though, is that you see previously the 9 came all the way down and then went even further. That's because of the Elrond, or sorry, I think it's Elrond, the real estate company over in China on the 10th. It caused 10% decrease from Bitcoin in just under 3 hours. So that's a massive decrease, led Shiba all the way down here. So the good news is the price shouldn't go much lower here, right? We got that 200-day simple moving average working its way up. We've also got, this as I would say a worst case, unless Bitcoin drops to 60,000 this weekend, we should be in pretty good shape for Shiba to break to the upside. I think that's a strong likelihood, but it's creating a nice strong support level right around 5,100. Between 5,000 and 5,100 is a pretty good little support channel here. So I like what I see here so far. I would say we're more bullish than bearish for Shiba, but it's not necessarily like we have like these strong indications that, hey, now's a great buy signal. But overall, the sentiment I would say is more bullish than bearish in the grand scheme of things. So let's go ahead and take a look at the best case scenario if that were to happen, right? Let's go ahead and draw some lines here and kind of see if we were to get a break to the upside, what would that look like? And it wouldn't be like significant, right? It's not going to be a huge margin, but it could be a nice little increase, right? So we could be looking at right around 8,900 as a potential, again, to work its way up to its previous resistance at about 8,800. So if you're going to set a profit target, I would say 8,800 would be a good one to shoot for more long term, because keep in mind, this has been it's about 9 days of trading to travel this far. So if we were to get up, just say that same distance, whatever that percentage is, it's about 50%. If we were to increase by that same amount, you will see the price kind of hovering somewhere between 8,000 and about 9,000. So to me, when I set my profit targets, I put them just below the next major resistance level, and that's essentially what I look for. And I always set 3 profit targets too. If you don't do that yourself, you're doing yourself a significant disservice, because you're either not gonna trigger any profits, or you're just gonna be a diamond hand holder. And that's perfectly fine if you know Shiba Inu is your lifetime goal of holding this for until you retire. But if you want to take some profits in the meantime, I highly recommend 3 profit targets using 3 commas, which is a trading bot, or Corners. We have that in our trading community, where I send out a signal and it sends out 3 profit targets, a trailing stop loss, and everything's all preloaded, so to speak. So you can just click follow and it's ready to go, right? And the reason why that's beneficial is because those profit targets are all they'll help you lock in the profits, because the trailing stop loss moves as you hit those targets, right? So it's a really cool scenario. So recommend checking that out. But obviously, if it's not your thing, that's okay. But I do recommend, again, setting your targets just below the major resistance level, which at this point is really close to about 7,200 for the next major, as well as about 8,900 is the next one. So just below those 2 targets, and I think you'll be okay. So for lack of better terms, I feel Shiba Inu is more likely to break to the upside than the downside at this point, but I can confidently say that we don't have any firm indications that we need to take entry right now, because we're still under the cloud on the 1-hour chart, but we are over the 200 on the 4-hour. I think those are some good combining factors. It leads me to think that we're a little more bullish than bearish here on Shiba Inu. I think it's slowly starting to find its bottom, if that makes any sense. So hopefully you found benefit here. If you do, please consider liking and subscribing, and obviously consider joining my Patreon community if you'd like. Just a quick heads up, we are probably going to cap out about 200 members, I believe, for a little while, kind of see how that works. So I like to have more one-on-one attention with my members, and in order for me to ensure that level of I guess customer service, we need to make sure that we're not over-serving too many. So for lack of better terms, get in there while you still can. The rate will increase next month as well, so you can lock it in if you consider starting in November. Again, check that out on your own time, completely optional. Thank you so much for joining me here. We'll see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.